So, good morning. From what I've read of, from what I've heard of Bastiat, I should call him Bastiat. I'll try. Most of his essays and editorials were concerned with transaction cost. He was especially concerned with the cost of tariffs. So one of my favorite essays was was about negative railroads. So that's a fantastically funny essay. Some of his essays aren't so funny. So he'll say, "Yeah, I know this farmer on the border, and his kids are huddled around the fire and they have no clothes. And I'll tell you what, because we protected him from foreign competition. So of course he can't sell his wool across the border anymore either." And he said, how dare we protect that man? And that's not funny at all. But his greatest essay, arguably, was his essay on the seen and the unseen, which is about something else. I read it as an essay about opportunity cost. So we associate that idea of the unseen with Hayek as well. I think Hayek's concerns were much broader. Not necessarily more or less interesting for that, but Bastiat insisted repeatedly that he had one point to make. This is not a broadside against government or anything like that. It's not about public goods provision. His concern is specifically with the concept of officials being able to create a job by taking money from an employer and then giving it back. And then inferring from the one job visibly created that there was a net gain of one job. So that, I mean, he says again and again, I'm not worried about the fact that we need armies. That's not my topic here at all. I'm not talking about the fact that we need roads. I'm not complaining about government building roads. I'm just saying, when government tries to create jobs by taking money away from employers, it's not going to happen. So what you have, this essay here, thank you for your patience. This is a placeholder. I'm working on a version of it for this venue. But I'm thinking of Bastiat's concern for opportunity cost, thinking about how that connects to Hayek and Buchanan, and of course Adam Smith. So if you think about Adam Smith's man of system, and I take it that especially Wealth of Nations, even more so than Theory of Moral Sentiments, but I take it that Wealth of Nations was written to an audience of magistrates, legislators, men of system in general. They were his audience. And he's talking above all about the opportunity cost of, I shouldn't say so, but he is talking above all, but he is talking about the opportunity cost of intervention. So he's talking to his audience and said, you need to be taught, you need to learn that the credit you will get for your interventions is more credit than you will in fact deserve. You will get credit for the visible benefit of your interventions, but if at the end of the day the meaning of your life is going to be a function of the esteem that you deserve, that you know that you're worthy of, not the esteem for the false facade of productivity that your election campaign depicts. If you really care about being worthy of esteem, you're going to have to think hard about intervention and be much less swayed by the publicity you get for the visible impact of your good deeds. So, and then by the time we're getting to Buchanan in particular, Hayek less explicitly, but the man of system thinks about government power as a product for which there's a market. A man of true benevolence thinks about the ideal of a referee letting the players play. Thinks about government power as a framework for securing that ideal, and then thinks about this most disturbing idea that that framework is itself an endogenous product of the activities of the players. The referees are players. And so how is that going to work? How are the players going to be motivated, and how are the players going to be capable of creating framework that isn't too much, creating framework for the purpose, with the success and the goal of just letting the players play. And then I have some historical, a non-historian's historical observations about a few key events in the history of philosophizing about this that have resulted in philosophy becoming the academic discipline it became, and all the moral subjects became the separate social sciences, and we became specialists, and a lot of what philosophy was about in Adam Smith's time became something that wasn't within the purview of philosophy anymore. Economists don't really think of Adam Smith as an economist, basically, or at least not as one to read. And philosophers now are just recovering the idea that Adam Smith is really worth reading. So I think good things are happening and things are changing, but there has been a very powerful tide in the direction of what I regard as sort of drastically harmful over-specialization that has left us thinking about justice as applicable to something imaginary, like the dividing of the pie, and not as something applicable to something real, which is how we treat bakers. So I think I'll leave it at that, because, hey, the next guy is Jeff Brennan, so.
Okay,
Let's do it.